And the first thing they're trying to do is change an act, the Muhammad Ali Act that has been in place forever to protect the fighter. When they want to change that right off the bat.
It's that time of the week again, time for the only segment in boxing that gives you the facts and makes you laugh. It's Clapback Thursday.
Dana White's t-shirt announced the debut of Zuffa Boxing will be January 23rd, 2026. We have no idea who is fighting or where, but it's taking place on Friday night.
The undercard is stacked with guys that used to fight behind El Gordo's Tacos.
So it'll be the red-headed stepchild to the UFC right off the bat. COO and president of TKO, Mark Shapiro, confirmed Zuffa Boxing is completely funded by Saudi Arabia. And TKO is taking zero financial risk. And their goal is to build a promotion with 200 fighters.
This week, Oscar de la Hoya takes a flamethrower to the hype surrounding Dana White's TKO Zuffa Boxing experiment. And he's not whispering about it. He's shouting loudly. It all starts with a t-shirt. Yes, a t-shirt. Dana White casually flashes a date, January 23rd, 2026, for the debut of Zuffa Boxing. No fighters announced. No venue named. No main event. Just vibes. Apparently, that's enough for some people to start calling this the future of boxing. Oscar isn't impressed. Not even a little. In this interview, de la Hoya openly mocks the rollout, pointing out that we're being sold a mystery show on a Friday night with an undercard that looks more like a UFC Fight Pass prelim than a legitimate boxing card. His words, not ours. If this is supposed to rival elite boxing, Oscar asks a simple question: where are the fighters? Then the conversation turns serious and uncomfortable. TKO President Mark Shapiro has already confirmed that Saudi Arabia is funding the entire operation, while TKO takes zero financial risk. Let that sink in. No risk. Full control. A plan to sign 200 fighters under one umbrella. To de la Hoya, that's not innovation. That's consolidation. Oscar warns fighters, especially young American prospects, not to get hypnotized by UFC branding and ESPN headlines. He draws a direct line to the UFC model, where centralized power made the company billions, while fighters spent years fighting for better pay, better contracts, and basic transparency. And then comes the real red flag. De la Hoya suggests that the people behind this project are quietly pushing to weaken the Muhammad Ali Boxing Reform Act, the one law that actually protects boxers from being controlled, underpaid, and kept in the dark. If that protection disappears, Oscar believes fighters won't even know what they're giving up until it's too late. This isn't promoter jealousy. This is a warning shot. Who controls the rankings? Who controls the matchmaking? Who controls the money? And if the answer is always the same company, how long before fighters lose their leverage entirely? Oscar doesn't claim this will fail. He claims it will benefit the people at the top first, while everyone else is told to wait their turn. Sound familiar? Love him or hate him, de la Hoya says what most insiders won't say on camera. And in this interview, he makes one thing painfully clear. Boxing doesn't need another power grab disguised as progress. Watch closely, listen carefully, and ask yourself, are fighters being offered opportunity or being sold another carefully packaged illusion?
Sound familiar? Look, I follow combat sports, but outside of John Jones, Conor McGregor, Ronda Rousey, or Khabib, I don't know who the fuck anybody is in the UFC.
Who are these fucking guys?
Why don't those big names fight anymore? Because they outgrew the UFC model and demand more money than the pay scale offers.
Show me the money.
TKO will not allow anyone to become a star
I'm the one selling the records.
and grow to their full potential. There will be no development of Zuffa fighters because they will get thrown into the fire right off the bat and face extremely tough opponents. So if you lose, you're done.
De La Hoya said, look, I follow combat sports for real. Not casually, not just highlights. And let's stop pretending here. Outside of John Jones, Conor McGregor, Ronda Rousey, and Khabib, who does the average American sports fan actually know in the UFC? Not who hardcore Reddit knows. Not who Twitter knows. I'm talking about real mainstream recognition. So again, asterisk, who are these guys? And better question, why don't the big names fight anymore? It's not injuries. It's not timing. It's not matchmaking issues. It's money. Once fighters outgrow the UFC pay scale, once they start asking for what their value actually is, they become a problem. That's when negotiations stall. That's when belts get frozen. That's when suddenly the company is moving on. Show me the money. That's always where things break. And Oscar de la Hoya's warning is that TKO is about to bring that exact system into boxing, dressed up as innovation. Let's be very clear. The UFC model does not create stars, it controls them. The brand comes first. The logo comes first. Nobody is allowed to outgrow the machine. Conor was the exception, not the rule. And even that relationship ended the moment leverage shifted. Oscar flat out says it. TKO will not allow boxers to become stars. Because stars negotiate. Stars demand transparency. Stars don't accept fixed pay scales. In boxing, promoters traditionally develop fighters. Carefully, slowly. They build records, fan bases, confidence, and marketability. They protect prospects until they're ready to carry events and sell arenas. Oscar says Zuffa Boxing won't do any of that. There will be no development phase. Young fighters will be thrown straight into brutal matchups early, sink or swim. No tune-ups. No patience. No long-term plan. Lose once, your hype is gone. Lose twice, you're replaceable. There's always another fighter on the roster. That's not boxing tradition. That's attrition. And remember, this promotion is fully funded by Saudi money, with TKO taking zero financial risk and openly talking about signing 200 fighters. That tells you everything about the strategy. Volume over individuality. Control over creativity. Replaceable parts over stars. This is also why critics keep pointing to concerns about the Ali Act, the one law that forces transparency between fighters and promoters. Boxing put that law in place for a reason, because fighters used to get buried in systems just like this. Oscar's message isn't subtle. He's saying fighters are being sold the idea of opportunity when the fine print screams control. If this all sounds familiar, that's because we've watched it happen already, just in a different sport. Big names rise. They demand more. They clash with the system. Then they disappear. And the machine keeps rolling like nothing happened. Oscar isn't predicting failure. He's predicting who wins and who doesn't. And history tells us it won't be the fighters.
There's no building a champion or a career. And how in the fuck is Dana going to manage 200 boxers along with the 200 UFC fighters? At Golden Boy, we have about 35 fighters currently, and we expect every single one to become a world champion. Quality over quantity. We know the formula. I've done it for 25 years. Bob Arum has done it successfully for almost 50 years. Boxing had been thriving for 100 years, but TKO board member NickKhan is using big words.
De La Hoya said there's no building a champion here. No long-term vision. No career roadmap. Just bodies on a roster. And let's ask the obvious question nobody else wants to say out loud. How in the hell is Dana White supposed to manage 200 boxers on top of 200 UFC fighters? That's not a promotion. That's a factory line. Fighters in, fighters out. If one breaks, replace him with the next one. Oscar points to reality, not theory. At Golden Boy, they work with roughly 35 fighters, and the goal is simple. Every single one of them is developed with the expectation of becoming a world champion. Not a content piece. Not a replaceable name. A champion. That's quality over quantity. And it's a formula that's been proven. Oscar's been doing this for 25 years. Bob Arum's been doing it for nearly 50. And boxing itself has survived and thrived for over a century using that model. Champions aren't mass-produced. They're built. But suddenly, we're supposed to believe that boxing needs to be fixed by people who've never built a boxer from the ground up. TKO board member NickKhan steps in using corporate buzzwords: disruption, scale, efficiency, growth. Big words that sound great in boardrooms, but mean nothing when a fighter's career is on the line. Oscar's sarcasm cuts deep here. Boxing doesn't need Silicon Valley language. It needs experience, patience, and fighters who aren't treated like inventory. You don't build legends by stacking rosters. You don't create stars by rushing prospects. And you don't improve boxing by turning it into a numbers game. The sport didn't survive 100 years by accident. It survived because fighters were nurtured, guided, and allowed to grow. Oscar's warning is clear. When quantity replaces quality, fighters stop being investments and start being expendable. And once that happens, the sport doesn't evolve. It erodes.
This will also be part of the Ali Act, so we're simply looking to enhance it.
Trying to get you to believe that Zuffa is going to somehow reinvent the wheel? How are you going to do that? Erase 100 years of history? You're already trying to change legislation that was put in place to protect the fighters. And you're actively trying to erase the governing bodies?
Yes, I will not recognize any of the other sanctioning bodies.
You said you're making your own ring.
We're already working on a new design for the ring.
You're making your own rules.
Possibly even rule changes.
Your own referees. Your own rankings. I mean, I assume this is more like a reality show?
This is where it goes from questionable to straight up alarming. They keep saying, this will be part of the Ali Act. We're just looking to enhance it. Enhance it? That's the word being used now. Because every time someone in combat sports starts talking about enhancing fighter protection laws, what they usually mean is loosening them. The Ali Act wasn't written for decoration. It was put in place because fighters were getting buried. Financially, contractually, and professionally. Now suddenly we're supposed to believe that the same people who benefit from less transparency are doing this for the fighters. And then comes the sales pitch. Zuffa Boxing is going to reinvent the wheel. Really? So let's be clear about what that actually means. Reinventing the wheel apparently involves erasing over 100 years of boxing history. You don't improve the sport by building on what exists, you just wipe it clean. Sanctioning bodies? Gone. Rankings? Yours now. Rules? We'll make new ones. Referees? Picked in-house. Even the ring itself, new design, new setup, new look. At some point you have to stop and ask, is this boxing or is this a TV product? Because Oscar's sarcasm hits hard here. If you don't recognize any sanctioning bodies, create your own belts, your own rankings, your own officials, your own rules, and your own ring, what exactly are we watching? A sport or a controlled environment where everything runs through one company? And let's not ignore the timing. While all this is being pitched as innovation, there are active discussions about changing legislation that was specifically designed to protect fighters from this exact kind of centralized control. That's not coincidence. That's strategy. Oscar's point is simple. You don't need to dismantle boxing to fix boxing. Boxing has governing bodies because no single entity should control everything. It has independent rankings because fighters deserve mobility. It has regulations because history taught us what happens without them. But Zuffa's vision? Total ownership of the ecosystem. At that point, the sport stops being competitive and starts being curated. Storylines over legacy. Control over competition. Brand over fighter. Oscar openly wonders if this is less about boxing and more about producing something that looks like a combat sports reality show, where fighters are cast, tested, discarded, and replaced, all under one set of cameras and contracts. And that's the core warning. You can call it innovation. You can call it disruption. You can call it the future. But when you control the rules, the rankings, the officials, the titles, and the contracts, you don't reinvent the wheel. You own the road. And history shows that when that happens, fighters always pay the price.
Right? You have AAA, and then you have the major leagues. And I know you're very into the development of fighters. That's what you really geek out on your, contender series.
I mean, here's the fine print. If you sign on the dotted line with TKO and Zuffa, you're signing your rights away. You've seen it in the UFC. They want a monopoly. And not only will they be stuck in a dictatorship, you'll be guided by people who have no fucking idea about boxing.
Let's be real for a second. You've got AAA fighters, and then you've got the major leagues. That's boxing 101. The thing is, at Golden Boy or Top Rank, the goal isn't just to throw bodies at a card. It's to build champions. Carefully, strategically, thoughtfully. That's the craft, the art, and the business. Now, here comes TKO Zuffa, pretending to reinvent the wheel. They love to talk about fighter development like it's some cute Contender Series gimmick. But here's the ugly truth hiding behind the marketing buzzwords. The moment you sign with them, you're handing over your career, your rights, your leverage, your future. Poof, gone. This isn't development. This is an opportunity. This is a monopoly dressed up in hype. You think you're climbing a ladder, but they're building the ladder for their own agenda, and you're just a replaceable rung. And if you think it stops there, think again. You'll be guided by people who don't have the first clue about boxing. These aren't veterans, trainers, or lifelong promoters. These are corporate executives and MMA operators who look at fighters as data points and marketing assets, not athletes with careers to protect. You're not a rising star. You're a test subject in their grand experiment. Make one misstep and you're done. No second chances. No safety net. No development. Lose early, and your name vanishes faster than yesterday's headline. Meanwhile, the brand keeps rolling untouched and fully funded by Saudi money while taking zero financial risk. Oscar's warning isn't subtle. It's a flare in the night sky for anyone thinking about signing away their career. This isn't boxing innovation. This isn't progress. This is a dictatorship in gloves, wrapped up in fancy logos, buzzwords, and big promises. Sign that contract, and you're no longer a fighter, you're a pawn. And history shows that pawns get sacrificed long before kings fall.
You don't know shit about boxing.
Nick, do you even watch boxing?
No.
What about Katie Taylor Serrano or Jake Paul versus Tyson, which is the biggest fight in boxing history? Ryan Garcia versus Tank, Crawford versus Spence, Fury versus Wilder, Triple G versus Canelo, the trilogy. These are all fights that happened in the last 5 years. Nick says they already have some amazing fighters signed to Zuffa. So I guess we wait to hear who those huge names are. But I'm willing to bet my ball sack.
These nuts.
Nick, do you even watch boxing? Seriously, let's go down the list. Katie Taylor? Serrano? Jake Paul versus Tyson? You think that fight isn't historic in its own right? Ryan Garcia versus Tank? Crawford versus Spence? Fury versus Wilder? Triple G versus Canelo? The trilogy? These are all massive fights that happened in the last 5 years. Fights that made headlines, sold tickets, and had the sport buzzing worldwide. And then here comes NickKhan, board member of TKO, telling us they've already signed amazing fighters to Zuffa. Amazing fighters? Who? You mean the names nobody outside a forum thread has ever heard of? The fighters who will be thrown into the deep end like lambs to the slaughter? Oscar doesn't hold back. He basically says, I'll wait to see who these so-called huge names are, because I'm willing to bet my ball sack that they don't exist. That's the thing about this whole rollout. It's all hype, big words, and vague promises. The board talks like they're reinventing boxing. But the reality? They've clearly never watched a fight in their life. They don't understand star power, matchmaking, or building a fighter's legacy. They don't know what sells tickets or what keeps fans invested. And yet, somehow, we're supposed to believe they're about to dominate a sport that's been thriving for over 100 years. Sorry, Nick. Experience, history, and respect for the craft don't get replaced by spreadsheets, buzzwords, and corporate press releases. Oscar's point is brutal but clear. Don't buy the hype. Don't get fooled. If you think Zuffa is about to produce the next legend while rewriting a century of boxing, you're dreaming. And the people paying the price? The fighters, as always.
They're lying to us, just like they're lying about them changing the Muhammad Ali Act. Because where the fuck are you finding top-level talent that nobody knows about?
Some people may not know them.
Are you creating AI fighters? You got Frankenstein signed to Zuffa? What the fuck are you talking about? But I guess we'll find out when your big January 23rd card is announced. And it better be the greatest fucking card I've ever seen in my entire career.
They're lying. Flat out lying. And don't even get me started on this ridiculous line about enhancing the Muhammad Ali Act. Where the hell are you finding top-level talent that nobody has ever heard of? Some of these fighters might not even exist outside a spreadsheet. Are you creating AI boxers? Did Frankenstein just get signed to Zuffa? Because that's the only thing that makes sense here. Oscar doesn't mince words. This is corporate smoke and mirrors, pure hype. They're selling the fantasy of reinventing boxing, while having no clue about fighter development, matchmaking, or what fans actually care about. They don't understand star power, boxing history, or how to build a legacy. They only understand control, branding, and replaceable assets. And then comes the big January 23rd card. According to Zuffa, it's going to be the next big thing in boxing. Oscar's challenge? It better be the greatest card I've ever seen in my entire career. Because if it's not, all the buzzwords, all the Saudi money, all the corporate PR spin in the world won't save the circus from being exposed as exactly what it is. An overhyped, underwhelming, talent-free cash grab. The message is brutal and crystal clear. Don't get played, don't get hyped, and don't give your career away to people who wouldn't know a great fight if it hit them in the face. Zuffa's vision isn't about boxing. It's about control, corporate domination, and building a monopoly. Fighters beware. Fans beware. The hype is toxic, and the reality could be even worse.
Nick and Dana beware. If you have mostly C or D level fighters in your league, it will completely devalue the ring belt and brand. Lots of pressure on you, my friends. Just try to lay off the fucking eggnog for the holiday seasons. I mean, hopefully fucking Santa bring you some goddamn Ozempic under your tree. So remember, kids, you're never a hater if you only speak the facts. And Dana, fuck you. Stay away from boxing, guys. Do your job at the UFC and put some good fights on, because we haven't seen good fights on the UFC in a while. You know, you're kind of slipping there, Dana. So, you know, I'm going to protect boxing, what's mine, what I worked so hard for as a fighter, as a promoter. I'm going to defend it.
Bottom line, Oscar isn't warning them. He's calling them out. This isn't a bold new era for boxing. It's a cash grab dressed up as innovation. De La Hoya rips the mask off Zuffa's plan, accuses NickKhan of chasing control over fighter welfare, and makes it clear, boxing will not be bullied into a UFC-style money trap. Try to run this sport on cheap labor and corporate muscle, and you won't just face backlash. You'll ignite an all-out war. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share Fighters Arena Pro for more informative and explosive boxing content.